Welcome to the Swedish Movie Critic and welcome to my review of The Odyssey. This will be a spoiler-free review. Christopher Nolan is back in the director's seat after his huge success with Oppenheimer, and with this he takes on the classic tale by Homer about Odysseus, who after the Trojan War faces a dangerous voyage back to his home island of Ithaca and encounters mythical creatures along the way as he tries to get back to his family. It's a very classic tale. It's almost 3,000 years old, and I think most of us have heard the story many times, and it has been adapted into a movie several times before, and this is definitely Nolan's take on the source material. So is it any good? Well, yes, this is one of our greatest filmmakers working today at the helm, and it's a great epic movie. Christopher Nolan has a certain style to his movies, the way they are shot, the music, the atmosphere, the lighting, and he transforms the source material through that lens. I would say it's more like an interpretation than an adaptation. We have Matt Damon in the main role as Odysseus, but also a great supporting cast with Tom Holland as his son, Anne Hathaway as his wife Penelope, and lots of famous actors and actresses in the smaller roles, and especially Robert Pattinson, who is surprisingly good as the villain. The movie looks great. Nolan has been traveling around the world on location to shoot the movie, and it truly feels epic in that way. It's shot by Hoyte van Hoytema, who also shot Tenet, Interstellar, Dunkirk. Truly amazing cinematographer. Nolan has a way of making movies feel real and grounded, and that's a really interesting process with this movie because it's based on this old sort of fantasy tale, but it feels grounded and the world feels lived in, and I would say that's one of the movie's biggest strengths, that the world feels real. We also have great music by composer Ludwig Göransson, a fellow Swede. Great music, but I would say it's more like a sort of ambient soundtrack and not like more thematic, more old school movie soundtracks. It works very well with the movie. It can be very low in the background, but also very intense in certain scenes. Me personally, I always prefer a score with more thematic use of, for example, character themes, but the music suits the movie very well. The movie looks amazing and sounds amazing. The sound design is incredible. You should absolutely see this in IMAX. I think it's the first movie shot totally with IMAX cameras. And if not possible, watch it at the biggest screen you possibly can. I saw it in 70mm here in Sweden, and it looked amazing. It's so epic. It's interesting because some of the scenes moves through different styles almost. Some you have more like an action movie, for example, but you also have almost horror movie elements in certain scenes, which I thought was pretty cool. And the effects are good. Feels like there's a lot of practical effects. I know they were out on the ocean with a real boat, for example, and they used CGI very sparingly, so you can really feel the world. I think you can say that the movie is about also certain themes. You have, of course, Homer's original story playing out, but it also takes on a modern view, for example, on warfare and PTSD, and also on imperialism and the fall of empires. It's a long movie. It's 2 hours and 50 minutes. For my part, I didn't feel the length that much. I think the beginning is a sort of it's a little bit messy in the beginning before the story gets going, but once the story gets ongoing and you follow Odysseus, it really takes off. Very well paced movie, and I think especially when we come to the third act and you get more of a payoff to the story, it really nails the more emotional ending. And it all comes back to Matt Damon, I think is really great as Odysseus, this sort of flawed commander, But also Anne Hathaway as his wife Penelope is very fierce in her part. Tom Holland is great as his son, and you also have Zendaya and John Leguizamo as Odysseus' old friend. He's really good. This is a very like star-studded cast with lots of actors from Nolan's previous work. Benny Safdie as Agamemnon, for example, who was in Oppenheimer, Charlize Theron as Calypso, Lupita Nyong'o as Helen, Elliot Page as Sinon. There has been a lot of discord online about the casting of this movie, but I think everyone is perfect in their roles. I think it's important to remember that this story has been retold many times, different movies, different works of art, and this is one man's interpretation of that source material, and I think it's a very well-crafted film. So, should you see The Odyssey? Yes, of course you should. It's an incredible movie. It's why we love movies. It's that kind of thing. It's a great epic with great cast. And I also really like the more modern take on some of the themes of the story. See it on the biggest screen possible. If you live near an IMAX, absolutely watch it there. It will be interesting to see where Christopher Nolan goes from here. I think it would be interesting for him to make maybe a horror movie or something like that. But we'll see in the future. But yeah, great movie. I would absolutely recommend it. So what did you guys think? Was it too long, slowly paced, or what did you think? Let me know in the comments below. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.